How are you doing? Welcome to livestream number 174. Today's topic is CAM, what's new in the June 2018 release. Should be absolutely good. Got the clock ticking here. I'm a little bit early, just giving people an opportunity to come in to join and say hi. Really appreciate it. If you're watching the recording, I'm not blaming you if you fast forward for another about 3 minutes or so. Just want the opportunity to say thank you to people coming in. I can see we got Mike, David, Hanley is here. Absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time. It's Friday. We made it. And today, it's going to be good. Today we're going to talk about some of the new things that was released earlier this week in Fusion 360. It wasn't a huge update. If you missed it, we talked about it on Wednesday, by the way. So if you go back, you will see Wednesday's live stream. You will get all the what's new for kind of geometry and modeling. Today is focused on CAM. If you're not into CAM, don't take the weekend off. We got Scott here. Bob is here. Absolutely appreciate it. Eduardo from Argentina is here. Absolutely awesome. Really appreciate you guys all taking the time to join these. I got my new favorite t-shirt on here. Some people asked me where I bought it. Amazon. That's the place to go and buy any clothing. 2 minutes left. So absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time. We got Doc from Kentucky. Bo from Denmark. Hello, Denmark. And we got North Carolina. Absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time. What should I let you know? Next week, we are not going to have a full schedule next week. I got to go to Chicago. I am leaving, I think, Wednesday. Be back again like Friday morning. One of these generative design workshops. So we'll be out a little bit there, but I'll try to make sure that there's something on the channel every day. Art is here. Yeah, thank you so much for joining this. Let me know if you like these early starts versus when I'm right on top. I just, like Art says, it gives people a chance to kind of come in here before we jump on. We got Abdul from France. Awesome. My boss is in France right now. All right. Croatia. Ooh, that's a cool place. Been many years since I've been there. Beautiful place. Yeah, absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time. We got Jason, Ohio, Iowa. That's not a bad place either. Hope you guys are all good. Hope you guys are planning. Have a great weekend planned. Here, I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. This weekend, it is Father's Day Sunday. So, for all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. All right, we got 22 seconds left here. Let's just get into it, shouldn't we? So let me switch the screen over here, and let me just get rid of the clock. There we go. 3, 2, 1, and that was the wrong screen, but that's a happy screen right there. Let's see. Now I messed it all up. Hang on. Now it's all going. Now it's all going down. All right, here we go. This is a fancy setup I got. All right, everybody. Welcome to live stream number 174. Whew. My name is Lars Christensen, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join these live streams. That was funny. Today's topic is CAM, because that's what we do on Fridays, and what is new in the June 2018 release that just came out a few days ago. 2 days ago, I kind of did the modeling environment. Today we're going to talk strictly CAM. There was a couple of neat things in there. I should also point out, now where it's CAM, down in the description area, you will find, I left a link to a blog post I wrote a while back. The blog post is worth checking out if you are into CNC. It is called Why CNC Operators Are Like Fighter Pilots. I know a couple of my friends who read it really loved it. It was brought up the other day, and that's why I brought it in there. And also, don't forget, if you haven't already, Also down in the description area, the link to the free CNC Handbook. I haven't talked about that one in a while. The link is still down there. Go and download your free link to the CNC Handbook. I'm the only one who's going to get your email address. I'm not going to spam you or anything like that. So check that out down in the description area of the video. Okay, let's get into it. A couple of new things. Like I said, this was not a huge release. Of course, if you haven't been in here, we got a new interface look here, and that is going to develop into some new menus up here eventually. But what is new in CAM specifically? A couple of things, and this is actually very fitting because somebody asked me the other day about patterning inside of CAM. Can you multiply toolpath inside of CAM? And yes, you can. So we did this part a while back when Curtis Chan, my good friend and colleague, did the CAM challenge. We programmed this part in one of the live streams, so you can find that. But what you can do is if you select all these operations and you right click on them, then you can add to a new pattern. You click on that, and menu over here give you some different options. Now, what is new in this release is that you now have this reverse button on when you have order by tool. But in these what's new live streams, I don't want to just rush through. So I thought I just wanted to give you a quick idea about the patterning in here. So you get different options in here. You can do linear pattern. This is all the same functions as we do in the modeling workspace, but some people who do CAM don't get into the modeling workspace too much. If I click on the linear pattern here and I select an edge, and you can flip the direction here, I can actually put in a distance in here, and what I'm doing now is that I am actually going to kind of add additional toolpaths. So this is great if you have somewhat like we can add multiple instances here. So we can do 3, 4, 5. So this is great if you have like a fixture where you're laying out multiple parts. Now you program just one, and then you can pattern that along here. And as you can see, you don't need the physical model. It's not looking at that. It's literally just taking your toolpath. But what I wanted to do was I would just talk a few minutes about the different options. And I got to say thank you to my friend CJ for getting me straightened out on this a little bit earlier. I got a little bit confused, and that happens to me sometimes too. And the CJ was there to help me getting it all straight. So there's 3 different options. There is preserve order, the first option, and that literally just means that Fusion's going to work its way through the different toolpaths on the first model, and then it's going to move on to the next model. So if I go in here, select the pattern, and go and simulate, and we hit the play button here, I'm going to do all toolpath, you will see it starts out with the facing operation, and when it's done with that, I'm going to speed up a little bit, then it's going to go to the adaptive. When it's done with that, then it's going to go to the contour, and so forth. It's working all the toolpath on this part, right, as you can see here. And then when it gets to the last toolpath here, then it is going to start over here from the top while it's working on the next one. So it completely finishes all the toolpath on one part before it jumps to the next part. Okay, that kind of makes sense, right? If we go in and we right click and edit this pattern, and we go to order by operation, now when we go in and simulate it, you will see it's going to start on the same part, but it's going to do this operation, finish this operation on both parts before it goes on to the next one. So now it's going to do the facing operation on this part over here, and then when it's done with that, it's going to go to the adaptive over on this part, right? And when it's done with that, it's going to go over and do the adaptive on this part, and so far. So it literally takes one operation, does it here, goes to the next operation, does that here, fourth operation, and so forth. Pretty straightforward, but very valuable when you're programming your machine you want to kind of have control over in what order things goes. The last one, and this is why I needed CJ, is order by tool. Now, order by tool is interesting because it is not going to, it will not jump around. So if you're looking here, you will see that we have T3, T5, and T13. So it's going to follow them in order. But if I mixed up these T5 and T13s, it's not going to skip between operations. So it's not going to go here and do T5 and then go down and do a T5 down here and go down and do a T5 down here. But what it will do is it will bundle these T5s together on one part. Then it will go over and bundle all these T5s on the next part. Then it will come back and it will bundle these T13s on one part and then bundle again on another part. So I hope that makes sense. If not, then I should have CJ explain it because it made sense to me when he did that. So when we go to this T5 here, you will see that it's going to go through and do this T5 and it's going to go to the next operation and do that T5 still on the same part, next T5 and do that on that part, and lastly the last T5 on that part. Then it's going to go back and repeat that up here and do the T5s through here and then the last T5 here. Now it's going to go on T13 starting over here. The next T13 is going to stay on that part. It's going to bulk it all together and the last 13 part. And when it's done with that one, it's going to restart on T13 at the top over here. So that's the difference between the different patterning operations. And like I said, this is really good if you have like a fixture layout or something like that. What is new, I don't know that it took me a little while to came to this, but I hope that it was useful to know kind of what these three different does. What is new is that you can now reverse it. So in sometimes you have all different kinds of operations and you actually have multiple patterns within those. Now if I hit reverse, it's just gonna start on this part instead of on this part. That's really all that's going to happen here. But you can now reverse it around. So that's a good thing. What can be handy about that is that if you have a lot of patterns that kind of like balled up, then now you can avoid some tool changes by reversing the order between those patterns. So I hope that this was useful. One other thing I have to point out too, and then I stop talking about patterning. Notice the second tab over here. You can override the work coordinate offset. So this can be super helpful if you want to call this one, for example, G55, and you want to call the second one G56. You can override those in here. So hope that was useful. All right, so that was cool. Let's open up another part in our folder here. Another thing they added in this release, and it's kind of interesting, like we just talked about this. If we go in and do a cam on this part here, let's say the offset or a work coordinate system on the top here. I was just talking about the other day how the drilling operation, if you go to the last tab on cycle, actually have a lot of milling operations within them here that can throw out specific miscellaneous codes in here. So, of course, you're used to that we have milling operations over here, but in the 2D and 3D. But what I was talking about is that inside of the drilling operation, there's actually some neat things. And of course, this all has to do with that you can get your post customized for this. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So be aware of these different ones in here. Now, what was added was that if you're doing something like let's do a boring milling operation in here, when you go and you select your milling tool for that, I'm just going to select a 10mm end mill. what have been added now is a retract feed rate for that milling operation. So you can actually control when it retracts out of a hole if it has a specific feed rate. And that, of course, could be absolutely, critical if you have like a tool down there. You don't want to necessarily just go to D00 and just fly right out of the hole. So now you can actually insert a feed rate there, a good little one. The next one I want to talk a little bit about is we're going to jump over to a lathe example. One thing that they added, the development team, and this is like clearly in my mind, I don't know for sure. I would like to think that this is clearly one of those where an end user reached out to the development team and was like, hey dude, would you please look into this? And they did. So what they have done now for turning is that they have kind of copied what they have for milling. Under your setup, if you go and edit it, your chuck. So I have the chuck here as a model. You don't need that. But if you do, you can select from solid and you can actually select the chuck in here as a solid. What they have added now is that this will work very much like the fixturing does on a milling. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. If I select this chuck as my chuck in the setup, and let's go in and apply a parting operation. So now we got a parting operation here, and let's just, if you didn't know this, on the geometry tab, you can actually add offset things in here. So let's just offset this one right inside of the inside of the chuck here. That will not be good. But what have happened now is that when you, not when you post it, when you simulate it, cancel. When you simulate it, that now you get a collision warning in here with that. And this collision warning here is, of course, like I like to say, that this is like looking into the future. You should always look for red lines down here in the collision, and proceed with caution afterwards. So yes, now with that, the collision in here if it collides with the chuck, it will give you a visual cue. And that just brings me to one more thing I wanted to. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to show while I'm in here. Another thing that they have added in here in CAM, and they took this from the model environment. If I select a radius now, you will get that displayed down here in the corner. My Fusion logo is in the way right now for that. That's silly. Hey, how you doing? Hang on a second. Let's just clear that away. Now you can see it. So you can see down here, it's all about branding, right? That when I click down here, that I get the radius up there. Now you don't. Before it used to be like you selected an ads and it will show it what was good for drilling a hole, but now you can actually see it down here too. What I wanted to talk about with this collision, there was a little bit of confusion to a live stream we had a few weeks ago, where we actually machined one of these generative design parts, if you remember. And one of the things that I talked about, and I just want to try to clarify it, one of the things I was talking about here was I had these different clamps on this part, and what I did in that live stream was that I specified them under model. So of course the part that we are going to be machining, but then I specified these clamps as models. And I got a question, why not using it as a fixture? And I'll show you why. Because if I select them as the part of the model, and let's just throw a contour toolpath on this thing. Give it a ball and mill. And let's select silhouette between here and here. Hit OK and let it calculate this. What you will see that it will do with those selected as part of the model in 3, 2, come on, live stream. We're live here, man. We can't wait. What you will see, oh, I didn't select this one, that it will avoid the clamps. You see how it positions up to the clamps. I didn't select this one. See that over there? It avoids the clamp. It literally stops the toolpath before it, make sure it doesn't hit it, and go around. If we go back in again, and we deselect this, and we select the body, if I instead select them as fixtures, am I selecting the right things here? Body, 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 body. If I select them as fixtures and hit OK, the toolpath will not avoid them now. I gotta regenerate it. It will not avoid it, but it will show in a verification. So for this scenario here where I was, you see, it will not avoid them, but when I go into simulate it, it will show up down here with the red marks. And actually, every time it hits, it turns red. Red, beep, right? So that's the difference between selecting them as components or as part of the model versus selecting them as a fixture. So for this specific scenario here, I selected them as models because I wanted the cutter to avoid them because they're kind of clamps holding the part down. Where I like to use the fixture, like we're doing right now, is something like your jaws on your vise, for example, where you just want parallels or something. That's a good thing where you normally should interfere with them, but if you did, you would get notified. So I just hope that clarified that in the setup. So again, just to reiterate, fixture is great if you just want the notification in the simulation. But you would include the clamps as body, as part of the model, if you wanted to make sure that the cutter actually avoids them. So then you will just select them here, and you actually see the stock gets bigger. Select the 5 bodies, regenerate, and then it will avoid it. All right, 65 people in here, absolutely awesome. Appreciate you guys joining us for our Cam Fridays. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and I touched on this the other day, but I had a couple of questions. I don't think I can talk enough about this. See here, now it avoids that one too. So now it's avoiding the clamp, so we're not machining into it. Is the post. So I talked about the other day, let me just open up my browser, that if we search here, Autodesk posts library, that would work. Just 2 seconds here, that they had regenerated this site now, and we now have a place here. If we wanted to if you want to make adjustments to the post, then you can go here and do that. Now, like, use these filters. There's so many posts in here. They keep on developing more posts. These are all for free. So if you're coming from another CAM system, you might have tried before that you actually had to pay for them. The way it works with Fusion, or I would say HSM, so this also works for HSM works and Inventor HSM because they use the same posts. All these posts you find in here, they are, you can download these for free and you can use them. And they're good posts. Personally, I have used the Haas posts, and I have used the UC CNC post without modifying them at all. Literally out of the box they went. But some of you guys want to change your post, and I have been one of those myself. So if you can, they are fully customizable. You can go in and edit them completely by yourself. There's no restrictions. But if you do want some help with that, you can go here and you can actually get some help with that. There is a fee. This is going out to like a reseller channel that will charge you some amount, and I haven't heard anything from $30 to $200, depending on what you want. There is support. So if you find an issue with one of these, you can definitely reach out to support, and a couple of other buttons. But what I just wanted to talk about quickly here today is I've gotten some questions about how do you handle finding out the right post for the right machine. And this is just going to be the one-on-one 2-second version of this. It's not so much what machine you're using. It's more about what control your machine have. So for example, the FANUC or FANUC or whoever else don't like the way I say it, the FANUC control, that's how I say it, you will find that on many different types of machines. I have used it on, well, 5, 6 different types of different milling machines. So different brand of machines, but the same control. So you gotta make sure that you look at what controller is done on the machine, not so much about what machine you have. Secondly, you should know that if you click on sample, you will get a sample code up here. That the best thing to do is to get the manual that comes with the machine, and normally inside of the manual for the machine there is some kind of a program example, and you can kind of go and you can compare this with that, and that should give you a good idea how close you are. And to be honest with you, a lot of these languages are the same. So the FANUC controller, FANUC, or whatever you want to call it, if we compare that to a Haas output, you will see that they are not 100% the same, but they pretty much are. The code pretty much means the same in here. There might be a couple of things that is not the same, but I just want to make sure that you knew that for most of these, the code is pretty much the same, right? It's very similar. What means that you can actually be lucky that one post, if you find the post for one machine and it doesn't work great, then it might work great. Another post might work great for it. So the new thing in this release is that this page kind of got an update. You got the buttons up here, you can use those. But for anybody who have reached out and emailed me about how do I go about this, try to find a controller that you have on your machine. Find the post, and I did a live stream about how you should proceed, but test that post out and see how it does. And these samples is a good way to kind of like get a quick look in there, compare it with the user manual in there. That was what I had planned on showing today. Don't forget, if you came in a little late, I can see here we got 62 people in here. Absolutely appreciate it. Don't forget, down in the description area, you will find the blog post why CNC operators are like fighter pilots. Check that one out. Love to hear what you think of that one. Also, it's a while since I've talked about it. CNC Handbook. You go down the description area, you will find the link to the CNC Handbook. You can download it. It's completely free. The email is captured, but it goes to me. You will not be spammed. I promise you. I have never ever sent an email out of those emails that I've gathered from the 8,000 people have downloaded the CNC Handbook so far, and I haven't heard anybody complaining about it. That's it. It's Friday. That was Cam. Absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time to join these live streams. We'll be back on Monday. I hope that you have an awesome weekend. If it is Father's, well, if you are a father, I don't care if it's celebrated where you are or not. It is here in the United States on Sunday. I would love to wish you a happy Father's Day. If you're watching the recording, thank you so much. Thumbs up if you like this. Thumbs down if you don't. Be honest. And yeah, I hope you have an awesome weekend. And if you're inside of the live stream chat, I'll just come in and say hi to everybody. Take care and have an awesome, awesome weekend.